I don't know how much you've come across corruption, but I've come across it a great deal. In fact, I'll tell you about one if you like. If we've got time, have we?
Yeah. Tell me.
So the interrogation with the knife into my groin that I was telling you about, the day after that was about 4.5 months into that operation. The day after, I went into the morning briefing. It was quite an early briefing, and 2 of my backup team had gone off sick, so we were running short. So I was introduced to 2 new cops. Now, I didn't like this. I didn't like meeting new cops halfway through a job. Most unsettling. But I shook the hand of the first guy. I had no problem with him at all. It seemed fine. The second one, I shook his hand, and the hairs just went up on the back of my neck. Instinctively, this guy was wrong. So I went to the SIO running the operation. I said, "Look, boss, I can't have this guy knowing what I'm doing. I just don't trust him." And the SEO was brilliant. He says, "Right, well, we'll exclude them both. They've not been in the briefing. They don't know anything about this. It'll be fine." So I put it out of my head. 12 months later, when Colin Gunn was arrested by a brilliant operation by Nottinghamshire Constabulary, when he was locked up and all his team was locked up, it was found out that this cop I'd taken exception to was an employee of Colin Gunn.
No.
And I used the word employee specifically because he was paid to join the police. He wasn't corrupted whilst he was in. He was paid to join. And he'd been in the police for 7 years by the time I met him. He was being paid £2,000 a month, plus bonuses for good information on top of his police wage, obviously. Now, in the debrief for this, one senior cop said to me, one senior covert cop said, look, Woodsy, we know this happens. Of course this happens. With this much money involved, how can it not happen? And that's the point, because, it's very important to point out that there isn't enough money in any other form of organised criminality to pay for that level of corruption. There isn't. There isn't the value to do it.
Yeah.
But it's not just the value that means this kind of corruption is inevitable and that we can't defend against it. It's actually the actions of policing. So I'll try and put this, what I mean, in straightforward terms. So say you catch a kingpin character or a gang which is controlling the supply of heroin and crack cocaine in one half of a city. Yeah. Creates a gap in the market. Quite often it's fought over, takes a while for the dust to settle. But the gang or kingpin character that's most able to take up that opportunity that's being created is someone who controls the other half of a city. So what we are doing quite often is we are increasing the market share of people. And in fact, we know from all around the world that organised crime use police informants to manipulate the police into getting rid of the competition as well. So we're creating these monopolies at all levels of the market, both regional, citywide, and internationally. And what this means is where you create a monopoly or a cooperative, then that monopoly have increased their market share and they've increased their disposable income. And if you increase the disposable income that you control as in organised crime, you will always invest it in corruption. Always. That's your main drive, because that's how the most effective way of developing your business model is through corruption. So this mechanism of policing where we're celebrating the arrests, we're celebrating the sizes of the seizures, actually look what's actually happening to the changing drug market over time, what we're doing. And there's examples of this all over the world. I mean, look at the Mexicans. There used to be 20 cartels. Now there's 3. And those cartels are incredibly powerful. The GDP of those cartels is bigger than most West African countries. Those West African countries have been corrupted. They're now narco states. We've caused this. We've actually caused it through prohibition.
It is huge. So what's next for you, Neil? What's your big focus at the moment?
Well, I'm speaking more at the moment on the climate crisis than anything else. So I'm doing lots of conferences on that topic. And so just to extend what I've just said about corruption, is to solve the climate crisis, we have to have good governance. Without good governance, you cannot stop deforestation, for example. And so all of the equatorial countries that signed up to the deforestation pledge at COP26, many of them, that signature means nothing, because those governments don't control their own backyard. Transnational drugs, organized crime control their forests. And because the blanket corruption that's come from the drug markets, so you've got places like Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, Senegal, Honduras, Venezuela, they're narco states. They're not legitimate government anymore. They're run by drugs gangsters. They're not interested in the forest, so that signature's meaningless. And that blanket corruption that's been caused makes every other kind of environmental crime easy because the corruption's done already. You've already taken over the government, so you can do what you want now because you've paid for it. Which means that drug money is reinvested into logging, deforestation. It's reinvested into illegal mining. It's reinvested into illegal fishing. And this sort of superheated economy of the unregulated drug market is literally destroying the planet. And we can't stop it. We can't bring in regulations to control deforestation because we don't have the governance. So this is a piece of the puzzle that many of us within the movement are desperately trying to get out there. It's taking shape at the moment. We're working with some environmentalist groups as well and just trying to bring the movement together. But it's urgent, really. It is urgent that we make people understand this link.